No, now I have to give him seriously, whenever I pick up the camera, it's always new to me because the frequency between two trips is like 6 months, 8 months. So I ask him.
And after I think it's reflecting on this light.
1 second. So one straight now.
I thought,
1 second, sir. 1 second.
okay, you can choose these guys. Then stick to this.
Towards our special guests, Mr. VVS Lakshman and my mentor, Mr. Jayant Sharma. Thank you for being here. I would also like to thank the members of the press for making it here on such short notice. I would like to thank my friends and family for their constant support today and throughout my journey. I specifically wish my older sister Arani could be here today, but she is in London, busy with her career, and I miss her dearly. I would also like to thank Mr. Kaushik, Mr. Chetan, and Mr. Srinivas for their technical support during the conceptual, editing, and designing stages of this book. And thank you for being here. So I'll just begin this. I'll just let you know a bit about this slideshow. So it's essentially going to take you along with me and then observe how I sort of developed as a photographer and a wildlife lover through the years. So it all began with this image. It was April 2017. I just turned 13 and Afa let me know that we were going to be visiting Ranthambore for a 7 safari trip.
Teenager, as old as Mayas was, my inspirations were people who were in their 50s and 60s, like for example Perumal, Mr. Perumal, late Perumal, or Hanumant Rao, or Padma Shri D.S. Satyan. These were the guys who were potential inspirations for a young photography enthusiast like me. My father was a photographer as well. When a person of 17, 18 years old starts talking like how he just did and starts taking pictures, showing it to the world, that inspiration age comes down to 17, 18 from 50, 60. So what it's going to do is not just inspire adults to look at, to a context where people of his age will start seeing, playing games or video games or doing stuff is not the only things we can do as children or young adults. We can also look at such stuff. It's not too early to start something like this. And that's what somebody like Mayas can do when he starts putting up these stories together and sharing them, compiling them as a book, which is something even people in their 15, 20 years experience do not dare to do. Of course, with a pedigree like what he has and the passion what he has put together is remarkable. I'm very sure this is just the beginning, and there are many, many more things to come.
Wisdom Cricketers of the Year in 2002. In 2011, he was conferred the Padma Shri, India's 4th highest civilian award. He is currently the head of the National Cricket Academy here in Bangalore. Can I request you, sir, to please speak a few words?
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Anil and Chetna, and also Chetna, because I've seen Mayas, Swasti, and obviously they're missing Aruni here, grow up. And every time I see them, they really surprise me. And it's not only what he has achieved as a photographer, but the kind of upbringing, the kind of values which Chetna has inculcated in them. And that's something which I'm really proud of. I think congratulations to both Anil and Chetna for the way you brought up your kids. And sky is the limit as far as this journey is concerned and their achievements are concerned. I always felt that my parents were my role models. And I'm sure it's the same with Mayas. And I think both Chetna and Anil are your role models. And I've seen Chetna, how much sacrifices she made to allow Anil to pursue his passion of representing the country at the highest level and achieve laurels for the country. Even though you're not a cricketer, but the terms you've used just reminds me of Anil as a cricketer, who was an inspiration to all of us. You talked about being out of the comfort zone. You talked about determination. You talked about learning at the ground level. You talked about commitment. And I think that's something which Anil always exemplified. You know, he symbolized all these traits, and I'm not surprised that you do that. And the other important thing which I always felt was finding a very good mentor. I was fortunate that I had a mentor in the form of my uncle who encouraged me, who spotted my talent. And also at various stages in my career, I had various mentors who came and enhanced my potential and allowed me to achieve my dreams. And you're very lucky to have a mentor in the form of Jayant, you know, because one of the best in the business, I wouldn't call business, one of the best in this profession where it's not only about being commercialized or thinking like a business, but it's also having that passion and also pride in what you all are doing. You know, because when you were talking, especially the technicalities of photography, you know, he was nodding, saying that, yeah, my student is learning it in a very organic way, you know, because it's not only about capturing that images which are just sensational, nice, but also understanding the entire, the reason behind we require to look after wildlife, you know, the reason behind you're interested in photography. And Anil once told, because some of the best photographs of me on a cricket field, while there's some photograph friends of mine from the media fraternity who have captured that, but some of my most memorable photographs were captured by Anil. And he was always there with a camera, and I'm hoping that Anil will eventually buy you a very, very good camera, because right from the first test match I played in 1996 to my last test match, and whenever Anil was there, he always looked to upgrade. Every tour we used to get a better bat, but every tour Anil used to get a better camera. It used to be that fashion. He didn't really compromise on his love for photography. But what I really love is the reason behind you doing this. You know, and the reason behind you actually going and appreciating the wild. You know, and I think that's something which Anil did. I always asked Anil why he wanted to capture the photographs of us playing on a cricket field, and what photography meant for him. He told photography is almost a meditation. You know, it's you're capturing the important moments in your colleagues, in your mates' journey as a cricketer, and that's what Anil Kumble was all about. You know, ultimate team man, ultimate leader for us. But the other thing is post-retirement, his love for environment, his love for the wild, and his love for photography, where you have to wait patiently to get the right moment where you can capture that moment, which you talked about. Was Maya? Yeah. Maya being disappointed with a competitor who was encroaching into her territory, and you had 6 seconds and you captured such a beautiful photograph. So hats off to you, because it's also about timing, and Anil had that timing. And we saw his celebration after he got that 100 at the Oval. And so all the very best, Mayas. Sky's the limit. I know this is your passion, but you've got other dreams, and I wish you all the very best. You know, and I'm sure that you will go on and fulfill all your ambitions, all your goals, because there's a strong force in your life, which is your mother. And I'm sure her blessings will make sure that you receive the Almighty's blessings and a lot of power to you. All the very best, and thank you very much for coming over here, because as Jane rightly mentioned, Anil was an inspiration to me and a lot of cricketers of my generation while we were growing up. And I'm sure that Mayas will be an inspiration, as Jane just mentioned, to the youngsters who actually don't leave their home, who don't leave their rooms, who are busy with the gadgets, unfortunately, their parents give them, to engage them. Whereas I think this book, I'm sure, will inspire them to go out in the wild, look after the wild, look after the environment, at the same time can pursue your passion and can get better with each and every outing you have in the wild. So I think this book will, I'm sure, through the media fraternity, will reach out to all the youngsters, and you will become an inspiration. You are already an inspiration, Mayas. All the very best. Thank you.
request Mr. VVS Lakshman to stay back? Could I request Mr. Jayant Sharma and Mayas to come and unveil the coffee table book Safari Saga?
Thank you.
So I definitely would say that a driving force for me picking up photography would have been bonding with my father. I think that our common love for wildlife and was something that really united us, and I thought that I'm further amplifying that bond with photography would be a really nice thing. So I'd say that the dynamics. So initially, I started off learning from just my father, just Papa, safaris, and at home we just watch YouTube tutorials and we mess around on Photoshop, on Lightroom. We look at the camera settings and all of that together. So I definitely say that that dynamic was more like a friendship to me with my father. So that's something that really helped because it was nice. It was nice to have something to get my mind off, academics, homework, projects, whatever. And it was nice to share that with him. So that's definitely that dynamic. And with Giant, I'd say that it's always been more of a I'd say I'm more of like his disciple because I've always been an avid participator in his toe-hold workshops and courses and whatnot, and he's directly taught some of them. He's also organized some of them, and especially during the pandemic, I just learned so many things that I previously never even thought of discovering, and I learned it all through Giant. And of course, like I previously mentioned, we also had a trip together, 2 or 3 safaris in Kabini, and that was something to look forward to as well because I finally got to practically apply what he's been teaching me all along, and some of his own tricks of the trade as well. So yeah.
There's one more. If you can recall or share any interesting encounters with the animals during your wildlife expedition.
I think that, I can, if you'd like, I could recall interesting encounter, not even in the wild actually. There was an interesting encounter so essentially we have a farm in the outskirts of Bangalore, and my father and I, we like to bird there. We like to photograph and document the birds there. So we've constructed this sort of hide there, and essentially it was midsummer, so I was busy with some college application work. I was doing it because it was a pretty dry day for the hike, and I think that Appa knew that as well. So he stepped out and he said, "I'm just going to get a glass of water." So I said, "All right," and I continued doing my application work. And essentially, right outside the hide, we have these rocks, these pebbles, and everyone knows what a human foot sounds like, right? That's a very peculiar question, but bear with me. So if a human sound stepped on rocks, it would crunch. But what I heard 5 minutes later was not a human foot sound. It was way too. The sound lasted way too long, essentially, and it sounded almost like something long moved on the rocks. And then I had this. Essentially, there was a lot of foreshadowing after the event. I think the afternoon before I sat in the hide, I had some noodles, and the previous day I remarked to my principal that how I'd love to see two rat snakes fighting. So I just thought, oh no, is this fate catching up to me? And then I said no. I dismissed it because I said and there's another piece of foreshadowing I missed out, which is I think a week ago, Appa and I we were reviewing some footage of the hide, and we saw that there was this rat snake, this 8 to 9 foot long rat snake, and there was this mongoose that came in and drove it away. And I had this very sadistic thought that it would be nice if there's like a nice harmless bird sitting there, and then all of a sudden just and essentially fate caught up to me, and I looked at the door and there was a rat snake. So it entered and it tried to coil around my chair. So what I did was I started panicking, and I think just in time he entered as well. So in a way it was a sort of blessing that we both weren't stuck in a hide, with an 8 foot long snake. He was outside and he was trying to calm me down. And I think I did one of, I don't know if it was smart or stupid. I'm just glad that everyone sort of escaped unscathed. But what I did was I jumped on the chair. So I jumped on my chair, and then that confused the snake, I guess because of the motion of me jumping on the chair. So it just sort of uncoiled from the chair, and then it went and hid in the other corner of the hide, and I ran for my life. So
Where do you say this happened?
this was in our farm. It's in the outskirts of Bangalore. So yeah, last year.
With a small bird, right?
Yeah, I had.
That we only found out after.
Yeah. No, I knew. But
He was really
yeah.
close to the snake.
Yeah, it was scary. But what's funny is I had a slightly worse encounter with the venomous one. So in Kabini, regular tourists know that. Even Jayant. I think this is how Jayant and I actually started chatting on Instagram. There's a resident Russell's viper in Kabini. So I think it was late at night. It was me, my father, and 2 of my friends, and we were walking back, and I was busy texting, of course. And then all of a sudden, my friend shouted "snake," and I'm pretty sure I've never jumped that high in my life. I don't think anyone will ever jump that high in their life. And then we took our flashlight and we looked at it. So it was a Russell's viper, which is venomous. It's one of the top 4 most venomous snakes of India, and that didn't even scare me. After that, both of my friends were like, "Are you fine? Are you fine? That's really scary." I had a surprisingly peaceful sleep that night. But this incident with the non-venomous snake was a lot more frightening personally, because it was a lot closer, a lot more dangerous for me. So yeah, that's just something that.
That also happens to be one of India's finest cricketers. How come that
Yeah, that's you're definitely not the first one to ask me that. It's a question I get frequently, and it's just the answer is as simple as I always knew that my calling was different. I truly believe that each and every individual has their own calling, and it needn't necessarily be the profession that their parent or parents share, because then we just have a world full of doctors, and what fun would that be, right? So yeah, I've always really been passionate about physics, about mathematics, and chemistry. It might make me sound like a nerd, but I probably am. and that's essentially why I've always been inclined towards the sciences and towards engineering in particular, which I'll be pursuing this fall in an American university, which is still undecided, but yeah, that's essentially the answer. From the wild, and I definitely say that the best lesson that nature and wildlife has taught me is patience. So before I got into photography, I was relatively impatient, and I never really, even on family trips to national parks, I never really cared that much in terms of sightings or whatever. I would be very restless. Sure, you could chalk it up to me being a child, but I think that it was far more than that. It was just the general impatience that all of us as humans possess, and the wild really helped resolve that, because some of the sightings that I've gotten, I've had to wait so much time. In fact, the cover page of my book, I was fortunate enough to capture after 2.5 hours of waiting at a watering hole in Tadoba. So essentially, what the wild taught me is how to be patient, and it taught me that there's always fruition, there's always some sort of reward for being patient.
Thank you for being who you are, supporting all of us. I think it's something that is, like Mayas mentioned, he got hooked into wildlife because he had no choice. In fact, Chetna knows more about birds and identifies more in the wild than I do. And all our family holidays have been around national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. The two sisters obviously were introduced into wildlife, and sometimes one holiday is wildlife and the other choice is with the two sisters, which obviously is slightly different to a wildlife. So thank you for being here this evening, gracing this occasion. It was a very short notice. We sort of decided to do this launch just over the weekend. It all started, a couple of years ago when Maya started collecting these photographs, and then last year we sort of decided that we wanted to put together this book. The first person that I reached out to was Kaushik, and he put together the structure of what needs to be in a book. He and Mayas then started talking, and then the editorial obviously was done by Kaushik. Thank you, Kaushik. Can I request Kaushik to come up and receive a small token of appreciation? Came to me and said, I need these 2 bags. I said, come on. I mean, I've asked you for so many years to give me a bag and you don't. I mean, batsmen seldom give their bat away to anybody, let alone their own colleagues. And here was Veeru, who came after my bags because he said, no, these bags are really good. So that's probably one of the reasons I didn't upgrade my bag. Jayant, thanks for coming. He was in Ranthambore yesterday, and he took a flight specifically to be here for this occasion. Thank you so much. He's leaving for Bandhavgarh tomorrow, and to put together this book, he was instrumental in that. He's written the foreword. Thank you so much. Again, can I request Chetna to... It was Saturday when I reached out to Lakshman and said, can you come? He said, you need to ask. So thank you so much, Lax, and we've had some wonderful moments on the field, and he's taken up a very important and responsible role, typical of Lax, to actually leave his hometown and then come and settle in Bangalore. So it's wonderful. You don't see too many like him. And thank you so much for accepting to be the guest at a very short notice. And again, wonderful memories as you were talking about photographing those important milestones that batters had. I think one of my favorite images, I think from all the photographs that I took of cricket and especially batsmen. And I'd like to let a secret out here. I've been a culprit of batters getting out in their 90s because I had the superstition that whenever I took, and invariably you are waiting for that moment when the batsman scores his 100th run and then you're there capturing that shot, not just the celebration after he scores 100. So I've had a couple of instances where I picked up my camera trying to get that 100th run and the batsman got out. I don't want to name the batsman here, but the batsman got out. So from then on, I just said, no, I'm not going to take the 100th run. If someone's 95, 96, I'll just keep the camera aside and wait for the celebration. So I got this wonderful celebration shot of Sachin scoring his, I think, 34th 100 in Kotla in Delhi, where I didn't have the long lens, I had the wide angle, and that actually helped because there's Sachin with the 100th run, after he scored his 100th run, with the bat up and the scoreboard in the background, the manual scoreboard at the background where it's changed to 100. So it's a nice image that I have of Sachin, and probably, I hope now the batters won't start texting me saying, you cost me a couple of hundreds, after this secret that I've let out today. So lads, thank you so much for accepting this, and please can I have you over? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. As usual, she was the one who did the namkaran of the book called Safari Saga. Thank you so much for that. Swasti, thank you so much for emceeing the program today. And also designing the invites, which went out to all of you. The e-invites, thank you so much. I don't know if I saw Ravi Chandra coming in. Who is there? Hi, Ravi. Thank you so much, Ravi, for this wonderful venue for us. Again, at short notice, I came in here on Saturday, and Ravi said you use this facility. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's it.